Hello everybody, I had this video, I did this hangout with MrThriveAndSurvive, there was Patricia, other members that came on, and Russianvids. And I decided to put a bit of it out because he's talking about what they're doing to us. And this was about a year and a half ago, about a year and a half ago. So well before that case. And he was telling what they were doing to us. And I thought it was very apt and relevant to what's been happening on the Unscrambled channel. So I've added a part of this hangout. Anyway, thanks for watching.
A lot of people are uploading my older work. You know, I've been doing this for a very, very long time. You know, I mean, basically from the inception of YouTube, I've been on here in some form or another making videos. I was also on the same night with Call for an Uprising. So I did back-to-back podcast talking to both of them. And after that, you know, I had over 100,000 views. I had a crazy amount of views, and then they just cut it off and they cut me off. You know, I had my two combined channels, I had over 150,000 subs with 49 million views, and all of it gone. But fortunately, a lot of people have, of course, uploaded my videos and reposted them, but none of them are me. Some people are claiming it's me, asking for donations and all this nonsense, but none of them, of course, were me. You know, I don't mind people re-upload my videos. Just don't claim it's you doing it. Just say this is a re-upload of Russianvids. But some people are actually posting videos claiming it was me, and it's just, you know how the people are on YouTube. That's why you guys are paranoid. I'm paranoid too, because you don't know who to trust. You know, you don't know who to trust. Well, I've been, you know, mainly I really liked what he was saying about, you know, everything's a lie, and that's what I always talk about. Specifically, we talked about how we all been brainwashed that fat makes us fat when actually sugar makes us fat. And I talked about it many times, how if the right one doesn't get you, the left one will. They give us two options. They give us regular soda with high fructose, and they give us diet soda with aspartame. They're both going to kill you slowly. So you do is none of the above. Okay, just like all the news stories, like the O.J. Simpson psyop, they want to divide us when it's complete fabrication, and it's to divide the nation, to keep the eyes off those that rule, and to keep us all fighting and divided. By, you know, a lot of people are passionate. A lot of people get upset when they see something in the news. They don't think for a second. They just believe it, and that's why. And I said this many times. The reason they must control the news and contrive the news is if they don't, they just, you know, they just put out random news stories. They don't have control. Faking the news, fabricating the news gives them complete control. When they put our news stories out, they know the result of the news story before they even publish it out in the media. So leaving real news out there 24/7, they don't have control. They can't leave things to chance. That's why people have called me an auto hoaxer. Well, that's exactly what's going on. Where real news stories, they get covered, but they're only covered for a few minutes, 4 or 5 minutes on CNN, then they're gone. The fake news stories are in the media day in and day out, and once they're gone, they're gonna bring it back up with some kind of side story to rekindle that flame with that older news story, like Trayvon Martin with Zimmerman being arrested every other month or every other week. That's keeping the Trayvon Martin story in the minds. Same with OJ, when they supposedly found a knife when they excavated around his property. They said they found a knife just outside the property itself in Rockingham. That's to keep the bogus story alive. You know, so it's not hard to figure out. And of course, the further you go down the path of truth, the crazier you're going to sound to someone that's dead asleep. So you have to wake them up slowly. You know, it's like anything else. It's like becoming a vegetarian. You're not going to have barbecue one night and the next day decide to be a vegetarian. You got to do a slow cutoff. And that's also when you try to wake people up, you have to do it slowly. Don't throw too much at them at one time. It's got to be a slow breakaway from the mainstream media. You can't have someone that's 40 or 50 years old that depends on, say, CNN or Fox News for their information, you know, for all these years. Then they just shut it off. You got to break them away slowly to alternative. things. I'm not talking about Alex Jones, Mark Dice, David Icke, these kinds. I'm talking about, regular people like us that are putting out, real good truth. And no one knows the absolute truth. We're striving for that. No pun on still not playing names there, but definitely, some people are closer to the truth than others. And to know the whole truth is basically near impossible. But being closest to the truth as possible is being passionate for the truth and always researching and knowing the system of like being a detective. If all your federal lies, you're never going to solve the case. That's why all they throw at us is nothing but lies with JFK, with the splice in the beginning of the footage going down Elm Street. There's a clear splice in that footage. They want to make us believe there's heroes out there. Like Albert Pike stated, whenever they need a hero, we shall supply him with one. So they're always giving us these false heroes like Nelson Mandela, JFK, supposedly Alex Jones, Mark Dice, but they're all just, controlled opposition, of course. If you delve into the truth long enough, you'll know this, that there are no mainstream truth speakers. They're just going to give you partial truth at best. And the problem is this, is they have the nice fancy studios. They have all the, all the media attention on CNN. CNN promotes Alex Jones. Basically, they're not promoting him in a nice way, but they're mentioning him, and that gives him somewhat credibility. So, of course, we're just like, small potatoes. So, it's a controlled system. The alternative media is controlled, the mainstream media, and it's really tough. Even the big guys like Bill Cooper, Jordan Maxwell. I have a photo of Jordan Maxwell with Michael Eisner and George Lucas at Disneyland. He's a well-connected Mason. It's no secret for anybody that's really looked deep into this. How deep the rig system goes. It's beyond the human mind. This whole system, how they control everything. Every aspect. Not only the politicians, not only TV, but Hollywood, the music industry, everything is controlled. They have a thumb over everything. The whole system's rigged. Police departments, the judges, they're all Masons. You go to a police department, I'm not saying the lower level cops are Masons, but they're taking orders from a police chief that's a Mason. And they're just taking orders. And they might or might not know. I'm sure there's some police, that are Masons as well. But to behind the scenes, you move up in the ranks. In the public eye, you move up in the scenes as well. But first, you must move up behind the scenes. Then you move up in the public eye, to a higher level. So, again, that's just a rigged system, and I said all the time, truth in movies, lies in the news. There's so many hints. So, George Lucas has a quote from back in 1997 in the book. Why is the public so stupid? These are the enlightened ones, of course. So, everything's out there. They put it right in front of our face, but they're going to put the truth to where people say, oh, it's just a movie. Oh, it's just a song. And people don't understand. These lyrics are given to these so-called artists. It's given to them. They sign contracts just like an actor for a movie, and they're given, just like an actor's given a script to say in a movie, these artists, so-called artists, are giving lyrics to sing for songs. I'm not saying every single song, but a lot of the songs are given to them. Like that one song by Meatloaf, Everything's a Lie and That's a Fact. Life's a Lemon, I Want My Money Back. It says in fine print, not even in fine print, right in the front cover, under Meatloaf, A Bat Out of Hell, it says Jim Steinman, right in front. Songs by Jim Steinman, not even his song. And they put it right there to let you know this song was, given to me. I'm singing someone else's song. So, there's the duality in everything in this world, So, that's what people didn't understand. It's so simple. If they tell us the sun is 93 million miles away and large, it's small and much closer. That's just duality. And the human mind can't go from, one extreme to the other. And they know that. Once you're taught one thing, it's very difficult to go the exact opposite. You can have an argument, oh, the sun's not 93 million miles away. It's 80 million or 75 million. And here's the thing too. But they were told that at 5 years old, and at 5 years old, they never go back and question that again. But at 5 years old, they know it's a fact. And again, they never question again the rest of their life because everybody else believes it. So, obviously, if you're a school teacher, you cannot deviate what the textbook said. You got to teach directly out of the textbooks. If you don't, you're out of a job. So it's very simple, you know, and it's not public school system. It's another way. It's basically to cover calling it a government school system. They call it public. It doesn't sound as bad as government because it is government. It is a government school system, you know, so it's all very simple. Everything is common sense, and people try to make this more complicated than it needs to be. But if you stick to the basics, and the basics of, you know, when the foundation's a lie, everything after that lie is a lie as well, because there's no truth in a lie. So we're born in this lie foundation of, we came from an explosion that created this spinning ball that's from a rock, and basically we're, you know, our ancestors were it was a rock that exploded. We came from a rock. So how ridiculous that sound, you know, when it comes down to it. So, but, you know, again, that's why they say get them while they're young. And that's what the government school system's for, to program you to not think, just, you know, just repeat what you've been told, regurgitate. See, regurgitation means you're intelligent in society. Just repeat what you heard in the news. That means you're informed. Yeah, it's not, only if life was that simple, you know, only if those in power would, you know, let people have a real say and let them think for themselves. You know, it just, you know, ego and pride is the biggest enemy of truth. And that's the biggest obstacle. And, you know, the bottom line is, you know, people, you know, a lot of people say, oh, we're spinning wheels talking about truth. No, we're not. Because the more people that are awakened, the more people are going to feel comfortable jumping on that truth bandwagon. And the bandwagon's getting larger and larger. So that's what it's about, waking up people. And the more people wake up, you know, people don't like to be left out in the cold. When more people jump on the truth bandwagon, more people are going to follow along. They're going to feel comfortable as a group. You know, it's very hard to stand out there by yourself. But you have a group of about 20 or 30 people, you feel a lot more confident what you're saying. You know, that's the thing is, that's to keep you away from the truth. You know, they make the truth sound ridiculous, you know. It's not, see, that's the thing is, it's ridiculous to believe we're standing straight up at all times, but it's not ridiculous to believe you're standing upside down in Antarctica. You know, and they put the truth out there right in your face. They call it the Antarctic Circle. You know, it's the circle. It's a circle. The circle around the world, you know, and people just, you know, can't read between the lines. But you don't know, but you're so sure about something you know nothing about. And right there, you put them in a position of, oh my gosh, he's got me. Now they might start listening. Once you show them by the numbers they give us, you know, and then you can go from there. But to point this out, Truth in Movies, Lies in the News, the scene from They Live. You guys all seen They Live, right? With Roddy Piper, of course, my icon, my logo. You guys all seen it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so to make sure. There's the preacher man. He's a black man that's blind. He's a blind man speaking to people that have vision. And this blind black man is talking about how you people have been blinded to the truth. And he can't see. He doesn't have eyesight. He's blind. But he can see the truth. And all these people with eyes, they can't see the truth that he can see. That's duality amongst itself, with John Carpenter being a Mason himself. He wouldn't have a position in Hollywood unless he was a Mason himself. But I find that very interesting how they did that concept of the blind man. A blind man, you know, standing on a pedestal, telling the truth, and he doesn't have vision, but he can see. So that's amazing. That's the whole duality aspect of that is, I find very fascinating, you know. And of course, when they show all the TV screens, they pan over and you see the number 33 on the TV on the price tag. So in reference to the 33rd degree of Freemasonry, of course. So there's Easter eggs all over the place. And, you know, it's just a matter of, like, I hate to quote a Mason, but it's true. It's Manly P. Hall. You know, they say wisdom is not just seeing things, it's seeing through things. And that's
Russianvids.
Yeah.
How long have you been into this then? How long have you been a truth seeker?
I know your channel for, I think, 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I've been doing it longer than that, actually. But with me speaking, I've been doing it for about 4 or 5 years. Before that, I would produce videos.
I love your channel.
Not talking. Yeah, I wouldn't be talking. I would just make videos with clips and all. And and that type of thing. Then I said, you know what? There's a lot of people, that do voices with their with doing videos with their voice, and I felt like a lot of people weren't speaking the real truth. And I said, you know what? This is not really my thing, but I'm gonna jump on board because I don't feel like the real truth is being told. Half truths, they're not. I'm not saying people were purposely doing a bad job, but they weren't really. A lot of people weren't hitting the nail on the head and really getting the point. Like I see a lot of so-called truthers pushing Ron Paul. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You're a truther pushing a so-called, a politician. Are you kidding me? Ron Paul revolution? Are you? Oh, but he's been having the same stance for the last 20 years. Yeah, he's been playing the same role for the last 20 years, playing you people for the last 20 years. And it's so
Russianvids, have you been following any of the stuff that Rich has been doing with QAnon?
Well, I'll be honest with you. Since I got booted off, I've been doing a lot of other things around the house, doing some gardening, which I love to do. But I used to watch, Rich's videos more when I was more active, and his demonstrations and his experiments and those type of things. It's been a while, but I remember, I remember all that, and I like a lot of his work, and he's tops, as far as flat Earth to me. So yeah, Rich is good, does good work. Are we going to agree on everything? Absolutely not. No two people are going to agree on everything. That's just being human. That's nothing, no negative. Like, I might say things right now. Rich is like shaking his head. Like, I'm not saying he's shaking his head, but he might think, oh, I don't agree with that. But again, it's okay. As long as we agree on most things, we come to down the line, we all can come to the same conclusion. I've seen so many people fight with me on certain topics. Then later on, begrudgingly, people are saying, you're right about Ron Paul. Like I made a video talking about Ron Paul being, part of the establishment. He's just clever, basically controlled opposition. And I had, like I said before, I had like 400 likes and 2,000 dislikes in the video. This is when Ron Paul was running for president. And I said, I don't care how many dislikes I get. I know what I'm saying is the truth. It doesn't matter how many people agree with me. 1 million people could, disagree. I don't care. That doesn't dictate truth or not. It doesn't matter how many people believe something is true or not. Truth is truth, no matter if someone agrees with it or not. So after the fact, a lot of those people came back to me and said, hey, I was wrong about that. Some people have an ego. They don't want to ever come back to me and say, you know what? You're right about no. A lot of there's ego with people that believe the mainstream. There's a lot of ego with so-called truthers as well. So, people are people. And the unfortunate thing is, a lot of people that watch our type of videos, they were once watching ABC, CNN, Fox News. They believe them. And they didn't question anything. Now they jump on the truth and they realize the mainstream media is nothing but lies. Then they jump on YouTube and they just believe something outright as well. We should always question everything. And I don't have a problem anybody questioning me, based on solid information, coming back to me saying, hey, I don't agree with this. That's fine. But I don't like people just blindly that follow anybody. If I say something, I have no problem with anybody questioning it. There's no one's above being corrected, and that's another thing too. A lot of people like, I know it all. Now, I always say it all the time. We stop learning.
Well, maybe
this is something important. If you go into a police station lobby with your camera to record, your cell phone, it's a public place. You can record. They might not like it, but they cannot stop you. Your eyes and your camera cannot trespass, even if you're filming beyond what's permissible. Your eyes cannot trespass. So if a cop comes out and says, whoa, you can't record here, you need to tell them, I know my rights. This is a public facility. This area that I'm entering is open to the public, and you have no right to tell me. I'm protected by law, and you should know that as a police officer. They try to intimidate. So not to go too much off course, but you can have this debate with the police officer when you know your law, the role, the laws, you know how things work. Same thing with flat Earth and the ball Earth discussion. You got to know your ins and outs, because if you don't, someone can nail you, and then it's not a good thing. So what I'm getting at is it's very important to really study, what you're going to cover and what you're going to talk about. And again, I said this before, I'm not saying I know it all. Once we think we know it all, that's when we stop learning. So we always have to keep an open mind to that as well. With new information, it's okay to come to new conclusions. You know,
can I just say that obviously it started off as a complete research group, but in that time we've decided that we wanted to be there for the people as well, because we've got to live here.
yeah.
And hence comes projects like MrThriveAndSurvive's People for People.life.
It's very hard because all you do is when you tell people the truth, you lose family and friends. But I say truth overall. You know, I'm not going to back down.
Did your family fight you then? The same as with us? Like, all of us have struggled. I don't know about Rich exactly, but a lot of us have struggled with friends and family. They just don't believe us, or they just think we're crazy.
Well, I'll tell you this, and I'm glad you asked that, because
yeah, I have met nobody here really except for one person that was into the truth as we know it anyway. But hopefully with this new website, we'll be able to connect with people that are near us.
that'd be great. That'd be great.
Yeah,
and, you know,
absolutely.
Networking is important, and you know, the more people you get on board. Of course, you guys had a really good conversation going on, and I was like, wow, they're talking right up my alley, and I love to talk, as you can see, and everybody knows. And I just wanted to, you know, jump on board and you know, meet you guys, you know, and just
yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for letting me on.
Yeah, same here.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, I've enjoyed listening to you as well, because well, yeah, it's a rarity actually.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Very glad you came on. Write me at that email address, please.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Yeah, but
Yeah, thank you.
it's all of us together, though, isn't it? So it's good night from us. Good morning, good afternoon.
Take
Bye,
care, guys.
everybody.
Take care. Have a good night, or good morning, like you said. Where you're at.
Bye then.